Back in 2022, Li Auto launched their full-size flagship SUV, the L9. Then, in 2023, they showed over 114,000 units, which breaks down to nearly 10,000 units per month. But at the end of 2023, AITO stepped into the game with their own full-size flagship SUV, the AITO M9. It was priced about $10,000 higher than the L9, and the styling looks, a bit weird. But thanks to Huawei's backing, and we all know how massive Huawei's smartphone user base is, the M9 outshowed the L9, which is a surprise for many people, including me. In 2024, AITO showed over 158,000 units of the M9, averaging more than 10,000 units a month. Meanwhile, L9 sales dropped sharply to just 85.8 thousand units. The M9 drove AITO's revenue through the roof. They tripled their revenue compared to 2023, and their profit and loss statement flipped. They went from operating at a loss to actually turning a profit. That's a big deal. The story didn't just end here. It goes on. More of these big players are joining the competition. By the end of the 2024, BYD, Geely, and Chang'an had unveiled their full-size SUV, the Denza N9, the Lynk Co 900, and the Deepal S09. Not only that, AITO also unveiled another full-size SUV, the M8. In terms of size, it's slightly smaller than the M9 on paper, but if I put both in front of you, side by side, trust me, you won't be able to tell which one is bigger. And there's more coming. As far as I know, at least 3 more full-size SUVs are on the way, 2 from Geely, the Galaxy M9 and the Zeekr X9, and 1 from Chery, the Fengyun T11. They're all about the same size, all 6-seaters, all hybrids, and all compact with fancy features. But the price, they range from just over 200,000 RMB to more than 600,000 RMB. So I'm really curious, does the cheapest one actually offer better value than the most expensive one? And does the most expensive one truly justify its price? In this video, we are going to find out. I'm going to compare nearly every spec of the 6 full-size plug-in hybrid SUVs that are already available. The Deepal S09, Lynk Co 900, Li Auto L9, Denza N9, and the AITO M8 and L9. First, I'll give you a quick overview of each model, then I'll walk you through the scoring system and show you the performance showdown, covering powertrain, chassis, suspension, energy efficiency, and range. And finally, we'll find out which one gives you the most for your money. There are surprises along the way, so stick around. Your dream SUV might just be the winner. So let's begin with the Deepal S09 unveiled at the 2025 Shanghai Auto Show. It's Deepal's first venture into the full-size plug-in hybrid SUV market, and it comes in strong, priced between 33,000 and 43,000 US$. And S09 offers a 6-seat layout, high-tech features, and an attractive price point that undercuts much of the competition for families looking for space and innovation without overspending. The S09 brings a lot to the table, and after its launch, Deepal S09 has grabbed over 21,000 orders. This figure is pretty impressive. Next up, the Lynk Co 900, which officially launched in April 2025. Built on the Smart Evo platform, it features a 6-seat configuration, a powerful plug-in hybrid system, and advanced touches like a rear axle steering. One highlight is its use of NVIDIA's driver chip powering the G-Pilot H7 autonomous driving system with a price range of $42.5 thousand to $57.6 thousand and over 40,000 pre-orders. It quickly became a standout in the premium full-size SUV class, blending performance, technology, and refinement into a single package. After its launch, it's received 10,000 orders in just 1 hour, which is crazy. And then we have the Li Auto L9, which originally launched back in 2022 as the brand's flagship family SUV. It's the first full-size 6-seat plug-in hybrid SUV in China, and it's become known for its comfort, range, and intelligent features. Over the years, Li Auto has continued to refine it. In 2024, they brought a bigger battery and dual-chamber air suspension. In 2025, it got even more updates, dual-valve CDC dampers for sharper handling and a large rear screen that essentially turns the second row into a home theater. Despite these upgrades, the price now starts at $56,000 and tops out around $60,000, which makes it a strong value given its feature set. Now let's talk about the Denza N9, which launched in May 2024. It's positioned as Denza's new flagship SUV under BYD's luxury arm. The N9 is big and bold, with the standout features like 3 electric motors, rear axle steering, crab walk, and compass turn, all those fancy features. It's clearly aimed at large families looking for maximum utility and innovation. The latest pricing sits between $53,000 and $61,000, make it a competitive player in this segment, especially considering the sheer amount of tech and capability it offers. Moving on to the AITO M8, launched in April 2025. This is Huawei's attempt to capture the premium family SUV space, sitting right between the M7 and the flagship M9, starting at $49,000. The M8 combines high-end features, strong tech integration, and everyday usability. It's ideal for buyers to look for a balance between advanced tech and value, especially compared to its big brother, the AITO M9. And finally, we arrived at the AITO M9, launched at the end of 2023 as Huawei's flagship SUV. The M9 targets the upper end of the market with a strong focus on innovation and comfort, priced from $65,000 to $78,000. It's not just pulling buyers away from Li Auto L9, it's also catching the attention of the folks considering the Mercedes E-Class and BMW 5 Series, just because the price range overlaps. That's simple. In 2025, it received significant updates, including a 52 kWh battery for up to 290 kilometers of pure electric range and a total range over 1,400 kilometers. That's wild, but it doesn't stop there. They added 3 more LiDAR units for even better autonomous driving, which is crazy. And the side windows, they now can be instantly tinted on command. All these upgrades just cement the M9 as one of the most tech-packed SUVs in the entire segment. They're all big, fancy, and packed with tech, but the real question is, which one delivers the best value for your money? Here's how we are going to break it down. I've compiled a full list of shared specs, things like exterior dimensions, power output, electric-only range, ride comfort features, and convenience details such as rear sunshades and head-up displays. Not every feature is directly comparable, so here's the scoring system. For yes or no features, it's simple. A full feature gets 1 point, and if it's only available as an option, it gets 0.5. For measurable specs like horsepower, torque, EV range, or charging speed, we are ranking them. The top performance earns 6 points, and the lowest gets 1. The others fall somewhere in between depending on where they land in the group. After tallying the scores, we'll have a total that gives us a sense of overall performance and capability, but we are not stopping there. To really understand value, we'll divide each total score by the vehicle's price per $1,000. That way, we can calculate how many points of performance and features you get from every $1,000 spent. It's a clear way to compare cost effectiveness across every different price brackets. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about which SUV has the biggest screen or the fastest 0 to 100. It's about which one gives you the most real-world value. On paper, many of these SUVs look nearly identical, around 5.2 meters long, 2 meters wide, 1.8 meters tall, and a wheelbase of about 3.1 meters. But the exterior size doesn't tell the true story. Design choice make a big difference when it comes to usable space. That's why instead of just comparing spec sheets, we are using real-world measurements of legroom and headroom to understand how much space you actually get in each row. We are also skipping features that are standard across all models like heated, ventilated, and massage seats, since they don't help differentiate these SUVs in a meaningful way. As for software features, they vary wildly and are hard to score objectively, especially with frequent updates, so we'll leave them out of this round. And to keep things consistent, we are only comparing the top trim of each model. This video took quite a bit of time to research and put together, so if you found it helpful, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel. It really helps us grow and keep producing detailed content like this. And if you'd like to see more comparisons like mid-size sedans or full-size MPVs, drop a comment below and let me know. That just might be our next deep dive. So first of all, let's compare curb weight. That's the total weight of the vehicle with all standard equipment, a full tank of gas, and all the essential fluids like motor oil and coolant basically ready to drive, but without any passengers or cargo. Now, when it comes to handling, the lighter the vehicle, the better it usually performs. A lighter car tends to feel more nimble and it generally consumes less energy too. But making a car lighter isn't easy. Car makers often have to use more expensive materials like aluminum or develop super integrated components like Tesla's octave valve system. So yeah, this spec really matters. Along the 6 SUVs we are comparing, the lightest one is the AITO L9, weighing in at about 2,570 kilograms, and the heaviest, that title goes to the Denza N9, it's 3,245 kilograms. This exact weight definitely comes at a cost. We'll talk more about how it impacts energy consumption later and in the video. So in this round, the AITO L9 takes the win with a full 6 points. On the other end of the scale, the Denza N9 only walks away with 1 point. Now let's dive into the powertrain and the drivetrain. since all of these are plug-in hybrids, they each come with an engine, or you could say a generator, but we'll not compare the engines directly because most of them are REEVs or range extended electric vehicles. That means the engine's main job is just to charge the battery, not to drive the wheels. There are two exceptions, the Lynk Co 900 and the Denza N9. In the Lynk Co 900, the engine actually helps drive the wheels through a 3-speed DHT gearbox, and for the Denza N9, it also pitches in using an ECVT transmission. Still, since all of them can run as range extenders, the engine power doesn't really play a huge role in performance, especially considering that the generator's output is usually lower than the engine's peak power. For example, take the AITO L9. Its engine makes 115 kW at peak, but the generator motor, it powers only outputs 70 kW max. So even though the engine seems pretty strong on paper, it's actually limited by how much power the generator can push out. That's why in this video we are not gonna focus too much on the engine specs. Now let's move on to the next power source, the electric motors. Most of these SUVs come with dual motor setups except for the Lynk Co 900 and the Denza N9. These two beasts actually have 3 motors, one up front and 2 at the rear axle. But we are not gonna compare each motor's output one by one. Instead, we'll look at the total combined power output and more importantly, the front-rear power ratio. The idea is the more power that's sent to the rear axle, the better the car handles, especially in corners and tight turns. In fact, in a recent comparison video in China, someone tested the Li Auto L9 against the more powerful AITO M9 on a mountain road. And surprisingly, the L9 came out on top despite having less power overall. Why? Because the Li Auto sends more torque to the rear wheels, which gives a better balance and agility in twist conditions. So in this round, when it comes to front-rear power distribution, the Lynk Co 900 takes first place, followed by the Denza N9. The AITO M9 has a front-to-rear ratio of 1.21, which is more of a balanced setup, good for stability but not necessary for sharp handling. Alright, so let's talk horsepower, total system output. And this one's wild. Leading the pack is the Denza N9, pushing a ridiculous 925 horsepower. That's supercar territory. I know it sounds crazy, but the reality is power is nothing in EVs, it blows the ICE car away. Next up is the Lynk Co 900 with 854 horsepower. Again, we are talking numbers that rival high-end performance cars. Now the rest, they are hanging out in the 500 horsepower club, which is still solid, but there's a gap, you can feel it. At the bottom of the list is the Li Auto L9 with 450 horsepower. Now, that might sound overwhelming next to 900, but let's put it in perspective. A Mercedes GLS 450 costs over $140,000 and only makes 380 horsepower. So yeah, even the slowest one here still way ahead of a traditional luxury SUVs. Another ratio we need to look at is the power to weight ratio. Simply put, it tells you how many kilograms each horsepower has to push. The lower the number, the better the performance. And once again, the top two in this category are Lynk Co 900 and the Denza N9 with 3.3 kg and 3.5 kg per horsepower respectively. That's a big advantage compared to the other 4 SUVs, which are all about 5 kg per horsepower. So yeah, these two are packing a serious punch when it comes to performance. Another key figure when it comes to the powertrain is the top speed. As you probably know, electric motors deliver more torque than engines at lower RPMs, but that torque drops off as the motor spins faster. That's why engineers use reduction gears to balance low-speed torque and high-speed efficiency. The downside? Some EVs might crush it in 0 to 100 acceleration but fall short in top speed unless they've got serious motor power to handle both ends. In this case, the Lynk Co 900 and the Denza N9 once again have way more combined power than the other four, so naturally they take the top spot for top speed. At the bottom, Li Auto's L9 capped at 180 km per hour, while the other three RE EVs can hit 200. However, the Li Auto L9 has better acceleration relatively. It does 0 to 100 in just 5.18 seconds, which is quicker than the Deepal S09 and AITO M8, and just slightly behind the AITO M9. Well, on paper, because in some real-world drag race tests, the Li Auto L9 is actually faster than the AITO M9. Just like traditional gas cars can get performance boosts by tuning the ECU, EVs can get upgrades too. Many EV limit motor output by restricting battery current, basically throttling the power, but that limit can be lifted via software updates. Tesla does this all the time. They sell an acceleration boost for models like the Model Y. Is just a software unlock that gives you an extra 75 kW of power and cuts you 6 to 0 miles a time. Well, a very tiny amount for around $2,000 US. Well, Li Auto did the same thing. They pushed the update over the air and didn't charge their customers. That's pretty sweet. Now let's talk about the chassis. All of them feature a double wishbone setup front and a multi-link design in the rear. And when it comes to ride comfort, every model is equipped with air suspension and CDC dampers as a standard. The only real way to compare these suspensions spec-wise is by looking at the air suspension and damper details. Most of them come with a dual-chamber air suspension except for the AITO M9 and the Deepal S09, which only gets single-chamber setups. As for the CDC dampers, Li Auto's L9 is the only one with dual-valve dampers. Everyone else is still using single valve. Li Auto has been hyping up its dual valve dampers a lot lately. They've been steadily upgrading their chassis tech since the L9 first launched. The 2012-2022 version came with a single-chamber air suspension and single-valve dampers. In 2024, they upgraded to dual-chamber air suspension, and now in 2025, they've added dual-valve dampers. I'll definitely take it out for a test drive soon to see if these upgrades actually translate to better ride quality. Another big difference in the chassis setup is rear axle steering. Only the Lynk Co 900 and the Denza N9 come equipped with it, and both can actually do a crab walk. Plus, since they've got dual motors on the rear axle, they can even pull off a compass turn, which lets them slide into super tight parking spots or make U-turns on narrow streets. For SUVs this big, those features really come in handy when you are dealing with tighter urban roads or crowded parking lots. Another big advantage of a rear axle steering is the turning radius. Both the Lynk Co 900 and the Denza N9 have a turning radius of under 5 meters. That's a huge win compared to other 4, which are all pushing close to 6 meters. And then there's the L9. Yeah, it takes 6.15 meters just to make a U-turn. That's been a pain in the ass for the past 2 years. Trust me, I own one. I've done the 3-point circle more times than I'd like to admit. For reference, the Toyota Corolla's turning radius is 5.2 meters and the Audi A3's is 5.5 meters. That means the Lynk Co 900 and the Denza N9 require less space to make a U-turn than these compact sedans. Alright, now let's talk about range of energy consumption. 2 things that really matter if you are considering one of these as your next family SUV. Let's look at the battery capacity. The AITO M8 leads the pack with the largest battery, while the Deepal S09 sits at the bottom with the smallest one. The rest, Lynk Co 900, Li Auto L9, AITO M9 are all hovering right about 52 to 53 kilowatt hours, so not a huge gap here. The M8 delivers the longest pure electric range at 310 kilometers. The L9 isn't too far behind at 280 kilometers, and well, the Deepal S09 trails again, managing just 180 kilometers on electric power alone. Now let's look at efficiency, which is where we start to see the engineering differences. The M8 comes out on top again, 17.23 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers, which is pretty solid for a big SUV. But the Denza N9, that one consumes 23.22 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers, and yet a big reason is its sheer weight. You might be thinking, well, it's got 3 motors, that must be the reason. But check this out, the Lynk Co 900 also has a triple motor setup and still manages a respectable 19.54 kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers. That's actually more efficient than the dual motor setups on the AITO M9 and the Deepal S09. So from my own testing on the Li Auto L9, I didn't see any noticeable differences in energy consumption whether I was in rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive mode. So what does that tell us? Efficiency isn't just about how many motors you've got. It comes down to tuning, weight distribution, and how smart the system is at managing energy. So if you fully charge the battery on top of the tank, the AITO M8 can take you over 15,000 kilometers without even thinking about a plug or pump. That's wild. Next up, we've got the Lynk Co 900, the Li Auto L9, and the AITO M9, all comfortably landing somewhere above 14,000 kilometers of a total range. Not bad at all. But then comes to the Denza N9, yeah, more than 100 kilometers shorter, even with the biggest gas tank in the group. And at the bottom is the Deepal S09 again. This one barely makes it to 1100 kilometers on a full charge and full tank. Yeah, not exactly a road trip king, but still more than enough. To be fair, it's not like you're gonna run out of gas in 1000 kilometers. You'll find plenty of gas stations along the way, but when you've got over 1500 kilometers of a total range like the M8, that's the next level convenience. It means fewer stops, more flexibility, and way less stress on long haul. With 5C batteries becoming more common and ultra-fast chargers like BYD's 1000 kilowatt system already out there, expectations have shifted. So while the M9 did get a bigger battery in its latest update, it didn't adopt the faster charging tech, and yet that's a little bit let down. Alright, so we've gone through all the driving related performance, power delivery, efficiency, handling, and charging. If you're the kind of a person who doesn't really care about thorough comfort, touch screen sizes, or self-driving features, and you're not even too concerned about price, if all you care about is getting the best driving experience out of these 6 full-size plug-in hybrid SUVs, then we've got a clear winner. The Lynk Co 900 comes out on top with a total of 83 points, which is a full 9 points ahead of the runner-up, the AITO M8. Whether it's power, handling, energy recovery, the 900 is consistently strong across the board. It's also the king when it comes to value per dollar, delivering 1.46 points per 1,000 US dollar, the highest in the comparison. But here's what's interesting. Second place doesn't go to the triple motor Denza N9. It actually goes to the AITO M8. Early on, the M8 and its big brother M9 were neck and neck in power delivery, but it's in the efficiency game that the M8 pulled ahead big time. With the best energy consumption numbers in the group, it climbed the rankings and took a solid second, and in terms of value, it ranks second again, beating out triple models like the Deepal S09 in cost efficiency, which is great. So yeah, the M8 is just a really well-rounded vehicle. Third place goes to, this time finally, Denza N9. It had the serious performance potential close to the Lynk Co 900 in raw power, but its energy consumption hurt it. It's heavy and maybe even a little overpowered, so that lack of a balance between the output and efficiency cost it points, allowing the M8 to sneak past it. And when it comes to value, the N9 fell even further behind. It's outperformed by triple options, and that's something you can't ignore. In fourth, we've got the AITO L9. This one's interesting. It was first launched back in 2022, and while AITO has made improvements to the suspension and ride quality since then, the underlying platform is starting to show its age. The L9 makes up ground with strong efficiency and fast charging, helping it climb past the M9 and the S09 at the last second, but when we factor its value, it drops to the second last. Fifth place is the AITO M9. Despite being a flagship SUV launched in 2023, it's already showing its age, power delivery, suspension setup, energy use, and even charging speeds all fall short of newer competitors. It only scores 3 more points than the much cheaper S09. That's not great. And when it comes to value, it's the worst in the group, dead last. And in 6th place, of course, we have the Deepal S09, right sitting at the bottom. Honestly, it's both surprising and not surprising. Surprising because this is a brand new 2025 model, yet it's got the worst energy efficiency in the lineup, but not surprising because it's also the most affordable SUV here. And when you look at value for money, that kind of thing, it drops all the way up to the floor. So while it's not a performance SUV, if you are looking for the most affordable way into this segment, it might still make sense. Final recommendation: for driving enthusiasts, the best choice are the Lynk Co 900 and the Denza N9. But if I have to pick one, I'd go with the 900. It's a lighter of the two, better balanced and more efficient overall. The N9 is over 400 kilograms heavier, and that weight doesn't just affect the handling, it also puts extra strain on the tires and chassis over time. If energy efficiency and total cost of the daily use matter most, AITO M8 is the clear winner. It's not the fastest, not the best handling, but it's the best energy saver. If price is a top priority, like your budget's tight and you still want a full-size 6-seat SUV without being broke, then yeah, no question. The only one you can choose, the Deepal S09. As for the Li Auto L9 and the AITO M9, they've just been outclassed. That's the reality of China's EV market. It moves fast. 2 or 3 years after launch, a car already feels outdated. Now, whether that's a good thing or not kinda depends on where you stand. If you are shopping for a new ride, it's great. You get all the latest tech, all the upgrades without waiting for several years like before. But if you already own one, well, unless you are swapping cars like phones, you are stuck watching the new stuff roll out year after year, and you think, damn, I want that. I want that dual chamber air suspension. I want that gigantic rear screen. I want that dual valve CDC. But no, I'm not that kind of a rich person, so I will keep my 2022 version of Li Auto L9. So that's it for the performance deep dive. Up next, we are going to look at what these SUVs are like to actually live with. Interior space, comfort features, smart carpet design, and driver assistance. If that's part of your buying decision, make sure you subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.